All right, hello everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm personally really excited because I've been honored to speak here. I think this is one of the most active Salesforce developer groups we have. Today, I'm going to talk about change data capture, which is a very powerful streaming event feature. A little bit about myself. My name is Mohammad Abrar, but I can just go by Abrar. I've been working on Salesforce since 2010. I'm a certified application system architect, and I've got the privilege to speak to the other Salesforce event, Dreamforce and World Tour, although I couldn't go Dreamforce. And yes, I'm currently working as a technical architect for Accenture Salesforce practice in London. So this is the agenda for this session. First, we will briefly talk about what are streaming events and use cases where businesses are struggling with, and what is change data capture, and how change data capture can actually resolve those problems. And then we will dive into the demo and of course walk through the code, and at the end we will take questions. So let's get started. So I'm sure you all are familiar with the streaming events. You use the streaming events to receive near real-time streams of data that are based on changes in Salesforce records or custom payloads that you can define in Salesforce. There are mainly 4 kinds of streaming events you can have in Salesforce: push topic event, change data capture event, platform event, and generic events. There is actually another one which is also now generally available, and that is high volume platform events. So if you look at, so this table really shows you the contrast between these different streaming events. So push topic event you really require when you are interested in specific fields in a specific custom object with a specific criteria, right? The other way, you have change data capture events. The change data capture events, you are interested in all changed fields in a specific object or multiple objects. Okay. Also, with the change data capture, you will also be interested in detail level information of the transaction, such as who made the change, when was the change made, and the proper transaction based approach. The next we have is platform event, which is purely like custom payload, but defined in a predefined manner in Salesforce, kind of like a custom object. You define your object name, you define your fields which you want to build the custom payload for, and that's it basically. So basically you have to have something in a predefined schema in Salesforce. And the last but not least, you have the generic events, which is purely custom payload, and there's no dependency on any kind of schema in Salesforce.
The direction different, isn't it? So push topic is out and change data capture in, is that right?
Both of them are out. Yep, both of them are out. Okay. So today's our focus is on, and of course there are some other benefits you can see here, which are of course like change data capture, all fields, nothing need to like configure somewhere that these fields need to be captured, and although I'll come to that point because Windows 20 release is now here, coming with these kind of features. So today's our focus on change data capture. So all right, so let's take use case for a large enterprise organization. Let's say they have many distributed systems such as SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, and whatnot. And Salesforce is also now going to be added in their system landscape, but somehow Salesforce is not going to be their master system of record or source of truth. So essentially, what they would like to do is they would like to have all the external systems synchronized in real time with Salesforce record changes. That's what they want. Now, you can start resolving this kind of problem. Now, first of all, this kind of problem comes in every data integration. I'm sure you all are familiar with every time we get a requirement that how can I synchronize, how can I make all the external systems up to date with my Salesforce data. Now you can start resolving these by using the pull technology. So pull data from Salesforce. You can use different options, SQL query via API, ETL tool, maybe data replication APIs, or such as get updated or get deleted APIs, and even platform events and push topic events. You can make mixture of it and maybe come up with the behavior, same kind of behavior what change data capture provides you, but again it will not be performance wise, you won't be able to compare with the change data capture, because when you will do that you will start facing these kind of problems, especially with a large data volume. With the large data volume, it takes long time. You have sometimes you need to do excessive calls to API calls to pull the data from Salesforce, and then due to that it basically and it's just basically sometimes servers goes down. Those kind of problems always come in when you start pulling the data from Salesforce. And also you will always have a chance to miss the Salesforce events that are maybe at 12 o'clock or 12 1 or 12 5. Sometimes you will be missing those events as well, and then again you have to call back and then pull that data. Now this is where change data capture really helps and bridge this gap and synchronize efficient way with all these external systems and Salesforce. So what is change data capture? So first of all, change data capture is generally available today. It uses push technology, or you can say it uses publisher subscriber model. It has Salesforce event bus, which is not a separate thing, it's on the Salesforce platform. And so this is what the high level architecture is. Now how does it work really? So first of all, subscribers needs to subscribe to a specific change data capture event, such as here account, it could be lead, it could be any custom object. And then as soon as the record gets created, updated, deleted, and even undeleted in Salesforce, Salesforce publish that account change events or any object change events to the Salesforce event bus. And then from there, subscribers will be receiving those, because subscribers has already subscribed to that change event, so subscribers will be receiving those change events in a real time, almost near real time. Now this is great, but what about if subscriber somehow goes offline? With change data capture you don't need to worry about, because change data capture is built on platform events, so they share the same characteristics. And with change data capture, Salesforce stores those events, change events, in Salesforce event bus for the last 72 hours. So for the last 72 hours you can always go back and replay your change events. Few things I would mention here. Change data capture, initial 5 objects are free, so you can play with 5 objects, but if you would require more objects, then you would need to purchase an add-on license of change data capture. And of course with add-on license it will relax the limitation of the 5 objects to unlimited, as well as it will increase the number of change events that can be published by Salesforce to the Salesforce event bus, and then from there to the subscribers. So it will increase that as well. Okay. So how can you subscribe to change data capture events? You can subscribe in different ways, in different methods. First of all, you can use commit-d connectors. Now commit-d is an open source JavaScript library that basically listens to listens to streaming events. It is available. This connector is available for all the prominent languages: Java, Ruby, PHP, Python, even available as well. So if you have external system, you can build your Java program or any other language using this commit-d connector, and then start receiving those change events. If you are within Salesforce and if you would like to subscribe through Visualforce page, you can now. With Visualforce page, you have to use commit D connector as a static resource in Salesforce, and start subscribing those change data capture events. And with this, you can not only subscribe to change data capture events, you can subscribe to even push topic event, platform events, and generic events as well. Also, you have lightning components. With the lightning components, you can now also subscribe through lightning components as well. So you have a specific component in the lightning component, you can subscribe through as well. Again, same thing with this lightning component, you can subscribe any of the streaming event. And with summer 19 release, you can also now subscribe through lightning web components as well, and as well as change data capture event apex triggers, which are asynchronous apex triggers, and you can also subscribe through them as well. All these features are generally available today. Okay. All right, these are just how you subscribe to. These are just format. These are just the way that you subscribe to. These are just samples here. One thing I would like to mention here, if you want to subscribe to all objects, of course, /data/ change events. If you would like to subscribe to standard object, custom objects, but also custom channels. So custom channels are, for example, if you would like to subscribe to all objects, that means all supported objects, of course, then when you subscribe to that object, all objects, you will be receiving everything. But let's say SAP is only interested in leads, account, and contacts, any specific objects, and Oracle the other and interested in invoices, orders, and they don't want all of them, they want specific ones. Now what you can do is you can create custom channels, your own channels, and then so that SAP will only be receiving what they are interested in, and Oracle the same way. Okay, with this, let's dive into the demo. All right, so I'll show you both ways how the change data capture looks in Salesforce and how it looks in metadata API. Okay. So first of all, in the setup area, you will find a new option called change data capture. Here you select the objects for which you would like to capture the change events. Here you can always filter as well for specific objects. The filter is case sensitive, so make sure that you use the same case as the object. As I mentioned earlier, you can only subscribe free 5 objects, and for additional you need to purchase add-on license. Also, all these objects, if you look at here, these objects, all of them are very common objects that everyone use in their Salesforce when they start using Salesforce: opportunity, order, product, user, events, tasks, cases, accounts. Accounts also include, by the way, person accounts as well, contacts, and all those. All these objects by default have their own triggers as well. Okay, have their own objects as well, even though you select it or not, they have. So when you go to developer console, if you try to create a trigger, if you look at here, you have account change event. So this is the way that the format of the object: account change event, asset change event. If you have a custom object, let's say you have this custom object called employee object name __ change event. Okay, so every object has its own change event, every supported object. All right, so how does it look in metadata API? So there is in the metadata API, there's a new component called platform event channel, and within that you have, I hope everyone can see it. Can you guys see now? Yeah. All right. So you have platform event channel, and within that you have all the objects that you have selected, all the channels that you have selected. So change events is a standard one, which contains everything, all the objects that I have selected here should come in this one. And because I have created custom channels as well, so if you look at Oracle events, in Oracle I'm only interested in lead, and in the SAP one I'm interested in account and lead both. So this is how you have the you have in the metadata API, and in the package.xml file you have something like this, platform event channel and the members as well. Make sure that whatever you select in the custom channels, that object is already present in the main standard change events as well. Okay. All right. So let's take use case for all right, so I'll show you two use cases. First use case is, let's say you have this account detail, account record detail, and I have this custom object called employee, and I also have this page. Now this page is using Lightning component, this particular Lightning component, Lightning EMP API, Lightning component. With this Lightning component, by the way, the benefit of this is, with this you don't need to store static resource, commit D as a static resource, because this component does everything behind the scene. So this page could be anything. This page could be your Heroku page, your external page, anything. At the moment it's this Lightning component in Salesforce. And now here, this record detail page, I'll just quickly show you that I have embedded a Lightning component in this page as well, this one. Okay, so this is the Lightning component just to listen to a specific object, employee custom object change events. Okay, so what will happen is, now first of all I need to subscribe, because this page is already subscribed by default. This page I need to subscribe to a specific object. So in this case I'm using this employee change event. So I'll subscribe to this. All right, so now this page starts now subscribing to that. As soon as now someone creates employee record, that page will get notified, as well as this page will get notified as well. Okay, so start here. All right, so as soon as the record gets created, this page get notified. Okay, now you can imagine this scenario. Scenario is two users are looking at the same record, right? So what you can do now, you can fire that particular change event and say the user B, hey, user A has already modified this page, something like this, right? So that's from that perspective, and also this page also get notified as well. So now let's look at this JSON. Okay, so
sorry, could you increase the
sure yeah. That okay? Yeah, all right. Okay, so by the way, this particular size of the change data capture event, maximum it could be just 1 MB at the moment. Okay, so we have here, first of all, we have here channel. Now which channel? Externally I received this message, I need to know which channel is this. Okay, is that this channel is employee change event. Okay, now with this, next we have is data. Now within the data we have a schema. Now this schema, personally I think this schema is a big value add here, because with this schema ID, at the time of receiving this particular change data capture event, you can take this schema ID and do a REST API call and check that what kind of a structure I'm going to receive that from that particular change event. Okay, so I'll just quickly show here. So you can subscribe. You can do. You can do by either by the name and as well as by the ID. So I'll start with the ID. Okay, and what I will do is I'll do a REST call to check that what is the structure of the this particular change event is. So this is the format here. This is the ID. I'll take this ID here, schema ID. I'll do the call. All right, so I'm receiving something, the schema, and now this schema is literally showing me everything. The change event header, which is already there here, change event header, the whole structure of this particular schema. Now, what's the benefit of this? Now, with this, you can have two different versions of your integration, right? For example, if you add a new field, what will happen is you will receive a new schema ID here. That means if you have 10 fields today and after 2 months you have 50 fields, you can track not just the data but also metadata. So that's the benefit of schema ID you have here. So you have everything, the structure, the actual change data type, what type of change is, record IDs, fields, and of course the actual fields as well. Okay, and here if you look at payload, the order is based on the Avram schema, I guess. So that's why the order is not on the ascending order. So you have this change event header. Within change event header, you have commit number, commit user sequence number. Sequence number at the moment is not really important because you only have one record. But I'll show you shortly. If you have multiple records, then this sequence number will be very important. Then you have entity name, change type, create, update, delete, undelete. You have change origin, whether it was Salesforce UI change, API change. You have transaction key. Again, you can take this transaction key and store it somewhere in your external system so that you can track it back. And you have, of course, record IDs and actual fields as well. Okay, most important thing, you have event replay ID. So as I mentioned earlier, you can take this replay ID and then you can do a call back to the Salesforce event bus and take that particular all the events that has happened after this particular replay ID. So you can do that. You can always replay your events. All right. So this is two cases for a particular object. Now let's say you have multiple objects. So now with this, I'll take this because this is the format to subscribe to all events. When I say all events, which means I'm talking about here all events. One thing I will do is I'll remove this and I will introduce here task. Okay, and I'll save it. All right. So now I'll subscribe to all events and I'll go to lead. I'll take one of the record. Now this is the one of the record lead we have. It has associated task as well. Okay. Now what I will do is, oops. Okay. Now I'll convert this. Okay. Now you have multiple objects, right? Lead, account, contact, opportunity, task as well. Okay. Now, as soon as lead gets converted, this page get notified with the whole with all the change events. So you can see here we have here data, schema, everything the same structure. Also, if you look at here, compound fields, if you have compound fields, those compound fields will be coming with the proper data structure. At the moment here, sequence number is 1, and an account gets created. Then you have, and of course accounts gets created, replay ID is there, you can always replay. Then you have name, again compound field coming with the proper structure, mailing address. Then you have your contact gets created, and then you have opportunity gets created as well. And then you have task gets updated. Then Salesforce needs to go back to update the lead with the lead converted ID, right? So Salesforce goes back and then updates the lead as well. So all the events that you are seeing here is basically coming with that particular change events. All right, so let me just quickly show you in the metadata API how it looks. So the Lightning component that we are using. This, okay, so this is the Lightning component. If you look at this, I'm only using this line. Now this line, if you use this line in Lightning component, you don't need to use now commit D as a static resource, okay, which is a good thing. Also, if you look at here, I don't need at the moment Apex controller, so I'm not using any Apex controller because I'm basically covering everything with this particular line. And of course I have JavaScript here. So of course I have initialization here, I'm initializing here, and then after that I'm basically subscribing. Now with this subscribing, I'm basically taking that component, I'm basically saying, okay, this particular channel is this, I'm using this replay ID, I'll come to this point, and then basically subscribing that, and then I'm showing that results on that particular page. Of course we have then unsubscribe if you don't want to get those change events anymore. So we have here important thing, replay ID. Now I'm using here -1. -1 means I am only interested in new change events. If I'll be using -2, which means I'll be interested in old and as well as new change events. If I'll be using any specific one, that means I'll be interested in all the change events which will be happening after that particular replay ID. Okay. So, okay, and yeah, that's it. And in the same, the other component is exactly same one, is just using that employee custom object. All right, so next we have is, just quickly show you one more example, and that is the triggers. So for that, I'll just quickly show you that we have, okay, before that, I'll just remove task again, and I'll use employee, employee. Okay, and I have here triggers. Oops. So I have triggers on employee custom object, and for that, what you need to do first is you need to subscribe. You need to basically, these change data capture events, the debug, in order to debug that, you have to use the automated process, because they are logged against the automated process, not any specific user. So for here, when you go here, you select you select automated process, and that's how you track those change data capture events. So now employee record gets created, so I'll just refresh it, and then we have this here. Okay, so can you guys see it? Okay, so we have here, oops, okay, So here, same attributes, change origin, change type, record IDs, transaction key, everything same, right? But here in the trigger, you have two new attributes. One is the null fields and diff fields. Null fields are to capture the fields which are being set as null, so you can take it from there, and then diff fields are the ones for the long text fields. So if somebody updates the long text area fields, that particular field will come here, and also that long text area, I think there's a formula there. If you have 1000 characters, less than that, it will come everything, it will bring everything. If you have more than that, it will show you only the difference of that particular field. Okay, now I'll just quickly show the code of that particular trigger. Okay. Right, so this is the way. So you have event bus dot change event header. This is a class. You initialize that class. From there you take change event header, and then all those attributes are there, right? So you can track that, and then you can basically start using those.
Is this trigger, I assume, is read-only, right?
This trigger, no, you write this trigger.
Yeah, I meant in the trigger on the object.
Yes.
I can do something. I can reject the change. I can update the fields.
Correct. Yes. So I'll come to the scenario of this particular trigger, and also the few points which are really important from trigger perspective. Just to quickly show you the test class of that particular code here. So this is the way. Now this is the line that will enable change data capture events, so that you can do your testing in sales in your test classes. Then you do DML. Then at the end you deliver those change events to the event bus. Okay. You can also, the alternative is you can use test.start test, test.stop test, and you can use your DML within that as well. That is also fine. But this is just another way. This is a new way of testing it. Okay. So now with this, just think about this trigger from your design perspective, which is really important because this trigger is an asynchronous trigger, and that will fire. This trigger will fire. You see, this trigger is on the employee change event object, right? And the trigger context will always be after instruct. Why? Because this trigger will fire when the actual transaction will be completed. So that is really important. So the normal transaction that you are doing, that will be completed. That's where Salesforce triggers this particular trigger, and that actually itself runs asynchronously, which you don't need to worry about, because that asynchronous is fine because of the performance perspective. But you don't need to worry about that transaction is committed or not, because transaction is committed. That's why this trigger gets fired, right? So this is really important. So now the current architecture, current design that we do, now we can change those designs, and we can say, okay, now all the heavy lifting, we should move that into these kind of triggers. All the intensive kind of processing, we should move there here, which requires kind of integration, and anything transaction based approach, the transaction based things in Salesforce, you can still use those triggers. Okay. Again, the point is, if you are using change data capture, right? All right. So okay. So I think let's go back to the slides. Okay. So now just quickly from a security perspective, change data capture events respects your field level security. Okay. Now it means the subscribed user must have at least view permission on those fields in order to access those fields through the change data capture events. Also, the object, if you are subscribing to a specific object, then the subscribed user must have at least view all on that particular object. If you are using all the objects, then the subscribed user must have view all data permission in order to capture those change events. And same goes for if you are subscribing to a user, then you must have view all user permission. Okay, so these are learning resources you have. There's a very good module on the Trailhead and developer guide as well with samples, use cases, everything is there. And there are some success community groups, so I would highly recommend joining these groups. Ask your questions, share ideas, feedback, and of course follow the product team, okay, because they are really interested to hear from you, your perspective, your feedback, what are the use cases that you would like to cover through the change data capture. Especially John Brook and Ryan, they both are really responsible at the moment for the change data capture. Okay, and everything we have discussed so far here, the code and everything is available now on this particular GitHub repo. Okay. With this, we can take questions if you guys have. Sorry, please.
So we spoke about what it can do. What would you consider its limitations to be?
Yes. So I'm not sure whether this would be limitation is 1 MB, but at the moment is the change event size. It can have multiple records, of course, but the size is 1 MB. That maybe I'm not sure whether you would consider its limit, but I think it's 1 MB is. If you take it, change data capture as your data replication kind of thing tool, then I think 1 MB is not a problem. Also, with Winter 20 release, by the way, there's a feature I think is coming, which is a pilot feature, and that is the setup area. At the moment, it doesn't allow you to capture specific fields, right? For example, think about external ID. People asked product team as well during the Salesforce World Tour that how can I embed my external ID, right? So that external ID or any field that you would like to always have in your change data capture event, that is coming as a pilot feature in Winter 20 release. So that is coming. Also, at the moment, you can't use change data capture for Salesforce to Salesforce. Okay, two different orgs or unrelated or related orgs. At the moment, you can't use that, but that is at the moment in the discussion. Okay, so product team, I even had a chat with John and Ryan on that. So they are currently working. They are trying to basically open this to you guys to come up with the use cases. That is there as well. I think apart from that, I personally take it as a very powerful tool, because if you look at how much the information that you are getting it from this particular change data capture, I think is a lot. If you take it like bulk API or SOAP API or REST API to pull data, you always have problems in that. So I think I think these two things are, from my perspective, I think Salesforce would be very beneficial from data migration perspective, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Two questions. First one, is outbound message dead in your opinion?
No, I think outbound message is there, because if you look at the from Salesforce perspective, so they mentioned explicitly that don't take it to that we are trying to say, okay, don't use this and use this. What we are saying is use this for your specific scenarios: data replication, data auditing. I think in few of the projects that I struggled from a data auditing perspective, I think data auditing perspective is a very good tool as well, and in general, just replicating your data, I think.
Second question is actually for Todd. Your talk last night, Live Controller. Where are we with Live Controller? So Live Controller was a feature that was pilot in Winter 19, and I thought beta in summer, but never appeared.
Yeah, it was ended up being closed pilot in summer.
Right.
And then in fact Michael. Yeah.
It's currently switched off for all orgs. It's still in a kind of a beta phase, but it's not currently being enabled or indeed disabled. It's just off at the moment. So
for those Visualforce developers in the org, I still one. I still teach admins Visualforce. It was a way of doing that, having to worry about Comet or JavaScript, of getting those change data capture events in Visualforce really, really easy, which Todd mocked last night. Mocked in a mock
I did a demo for the admin group, and it was all smoke and mirrors. No one knew until I told them as well.
I do believe it will make it. It's just been switched off for the time being.
Any other questions?
Sorry, yeah.
Paul?
Well, sort of following up, answering your question to us, can you all see that back there, or can you see what I just did, especially when it's code? And it's with a solution that maybe the organisers can think about, so that it's a dev group.
Yes.
And I have all these show and tells of quite complex code.
Yes.
Goes to the fact there's, say, for instance, screens in the facilities, or I've got an iPhone here. Is there a way of even having as you're presenting?
So, good point. There was actually a go-to webinar for this.
I can be like in Skype, effectively seeing the code in my handset and screen snapping, or even in a room like this, 3 or 4 screens, like a screen.
And same point. So, Todd, we share the link at the start of the meeting next time, rather than people. At the moment, we don't send it to people that don't turn up, because we find people don't turn up, but they don't tell us they're not making it. Think, I can just watch it on the phone on the way home. So we will in future, if we're using things like GoToMeeting or whatever, we'll make sure everyone has the link at the start, and you can follow it on your phone or your laptop or whatever. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Because then if you say look at the next slide,
no, we'll do
I've
that.
got a snap of the previous one, and I can be rereading it or coming up with a question about something, etc., etc.
That's
Yeah,
good.
true.
We are recording there'll be a recording of the session as well.
That's
with a that's after the fact, I suppose, but that will be there, and all your slides are available, aren't they?
Oh yeah, and the code is available. Everything is available. Code is available in the GitHub, and on this GitHub. Sorry.
In fact, there's a video of this talk on Salesforce World Tour, I guess.
They didn't video the talk.
They did video.
No, they didn't video.
Which is why we got Abrar in for this.
Ah. We'll have this forever now.
Because I don't think like 120-point font for code works. So
Any other questions about the talk? That was a good one. We're going to do something about that.
You mentioned this is built on high volume platform events. I was wondering if the same limits apply.
No, sorry, not high volume platform events in general.
Yeah.
Platform events. So yes, a very good question. So when you have additional, so initial 5, so basically change data capture is built on the platform events basically. So yes, same characteristics. If you look at like the comparison slide as well, same kind of tool. It's just like in the change data capture, you don't need to worry about if you have 200 fields, all 200 fields, if they are creating or if they have got updates, they will be coming. But so when you purchase the change data capture add-on license, it will come with unlimited objects. You can subscribe. Also, I think 150,000 per 24 hours change events you can subscribe. Subscribers can subscribe. Now this means all subscribers, not just one subscriber, all subscribers, as well as if you hit that limit, you have then come up with this high volume platform events license, additional license. Okay, with this, then it will. With this, then it will come up. It will increase that, and then it will share that limit with the platform events and the change data capture events.
So if I have high volume platform events and I publish things from
change data capture, exactly.
Apply to the limits of the high volume.
Yes, true. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Can ISVs resell those limits?
As an OEM,
Yeah.
probably.
Okay.
No, I don't. Maybe.
In the future.
Yeah.
It's on the road.
Forward-looking statement.
Any more questions? No?
Sorry.
Yeah, I've got one. Yeah. So you said there's a 1 meg limit on these. What happens if the size of the event is above a meg? Like what gets trimmed or what errors happen? Or
Sorry, I have no idea on that one. But Because even I'm not sure about that one, but so they have especially mentioned that if you hit that 150,000 per 24-hour limit, like for example, I think performance addition, I guess, Salesforce will not stop you there, but Salesforce will warn you that you are going to hit this limit, or you have already exceed this limit, and then they will basically consult with you that what are you doing and those kind of things, and then maybe suggest to do you purchase or I will platform license. But yeah, sorry for 1MB1 I'm not sure.
Limit, the contractual limit, like the what was it, the page views or.
That's what I understood with.
Then your AE will call you.
Yeah.
Storage.
Yeah.
So.
In the documentation it says if your entity has hundreds of fields, that you could hit this limit. In this case, the change event message isn't delivered and is replaced by a gap event message. For more information, see gap events.
Correct. So basically,
Next month.
all right. Just to quickly mention this one. So there are gap events. All these events create, update, delete, undelete. There are associated gap events as well, and there's one also overflow event as well. Gap events comes with these kind of limitations these kind of things. Then when Salesforce hits, that's where the gap create, gap delete, all these things comes. But also overflow comes when you hit the number of events, hit number of 150,000 or whatever the number is, that you hit that limit. Also, change data capture, which I didn't cover here, but because it's too much. But that is the you can also it also captures some of the metadata changes as well. I think such as pick list values changes or something like that. I personally didn't try, haven't tried yet, but that is also something that is there.
Okay, if there's no more, so take a quick 10-minute break. Restrooms are.
Thank you very much. Thanks.